Good day and welcome. I thought I'd better provide a bit of a channel update and retrospective of 2023, since we are now at the end of 2023, and what a year it has been in the world. I will not talk much about that. I will try to talk mostly to the camera, but I have notes there, and so I'm going to have to look down a bit, decide what I'm going to say next, then look up and talk. So that's my process. Thought you'd like that. Alright, so what's gone on this last year? Lots of stuff. I mean, it's been, what, 365 days? Pretty sure. 0.25? 0.24. I think it is 0.24. Alrighty, well, my personal life. I've had some health challenges. I don't know if they're exactly new health challenges. They're not new, but a bit expanded. I probably won't go into a ton of detail about that just now. If you know me, I'm sure I've talked to you about it. If you know me in person, that is. IRL, as the kiddies say. I don't think the kiddies say that anymore, but we used to say that. Yeah, nothing life-threatening. Very frustrating. Further affects my mobility, which has been compromised for a long time now, 14 years. I took up jogging again. I used to jog quite a bit even after my injuries, for roughly 14 years ago, 13 and a half years ago, and that was great. The jogging part. I took myself through a program that I had done before. I modified it for myself, and I got through it to the point where I was able to run. I think my longest run was 8K in about an hour and 10 minutes, which I understand is a pretty slow pace, but given my mobility challenges, it's actually a pretty good pace. So there you go. I'll continue to live. Nothing life-threatening, just frustrating and painful. My wife and I decided to renovate our house substantially. Towards the end, I guess the last 3 months of 2022 was when we were making that decision and lining things up. And it was scheduled to start in April of 2024, which it did. We had to pack up our entire house, which was, again, a trial, a ton of work. We still have tons of things to get rid of, although we did get rid of a lot of stuff in the process. It's amazing how much stuff you accumulate over the years. It's ridiculous, actually, at least in our society and the one in which I live. It's all done now. I've got this brilliant green-ish, green-blue, dark green, I don't know, wall that I can record my videos against now, videos against, which is great. That's the least of it. Lots of changes in our house, big changes. Shuffling, well, not shuffling walls around so much, but adjusting walls, big kitchen reno, big laundry reno, all the bathrooms. So there you go. Great to have that done. My wife and I went to Australia for 3 weeks in October, which was amazing. It was really good. I've never been to Australia before. Have I ever been south of the equator? Oh no, I have. Pardon me. I was in Chile in 2009. Anyway, first time to Australia. Long trip from here. Although, well, I suppose there are further places a person could go to, but not much. More or less halfway around the world, close to it anyway. And a long way south from where I am. We went to Adelaide to start with, and Adelaide's really nice. A pleasant city in a temperate sort of a climate. Springtime there in October, and it was good. I had a jog in Adelaide, and that was the last That was the last one I did. That was about around a 5K or a 6K. I actually was in some pain after that. I didn't think too much about it since that wasn't uncommon, but that was the last jog I did before my expanded health problems. We went to Melbourne, Melbourne was a big city. Seems like there's lots to do there. We did a little bit there. We weren't actually in Melbourne for very long. We drove to Melbourne from Adelaide, which is quite a ways. Although, in terms of Australia, not that far. Australia's big. I mean, it's not as big as Canada, but it's pretty damn close. I don't actually know what the size comparison is, but I don't think the two countries are that different in size. A big difference with Australia is that it is closer to the equator in its north, and not as far south in latitude as Canada is north, or at least the northern parts. Anyway, the northern parts of Canada basically go to the North Pole, so that's kind of a silly thing to say. But anyway, great. Really enjoyed that. Melbourne was good, big city. Might have had a better time in the suburbs, but then we wouldn't have had access to the things that are in the core of the city. So we weren't, as I said, we weren't there for long. The trip to Melbourne was quite nice. We did that over 4 days. Driving and stopping more or less wherever we felt like. We didn't make any plans too far ahead about where we were going to stop or where we were going to stay, which worked out perfectly. We weren't exactly in high tourist season, so that wasn't a problem. We found motels or hotels along the way. And let's see, from Melbourne we flew to Cairns. I'm not going to try to do an Australian accent. Just about every Canadian I run into that's been there tries to pronounce Cairns as though they were in Aussie, which puzzles me a little bit. Anyway, I'm not going to do that. So there you go. Cairns was great. Tropical. I forget what its latitude is. 10 degrees, I think, or 15 degrees south, but tropical, very tropical. It was really warm there. It's right up, it's on the coast, but there's mountains immediately behind the city, inland. And it's a rainforest there, at least until you get to the other side of the mountains, where it's, I think, almost immediately desert, or soon desert. What can I say about Cairns? We went to a sort of an arts community, indigenous community / arts community, the name of which is now escaping me. Isn't that stupid? Starts with a K. Had a lovely day there. Took an old train, like a steam train with late 19th century, early 20th century rail cars. Not the most comfortable things in the world in terms of seating, but not bad. I mean, it was only an hour and change ride up there, I think, and with one stop. Yeah, one stop in the rainforest to look things over, and then coming down, you had a couple of options, but the one we chose was a cable car. I think it's one of the longer cable cars in the world. It's 7 or 8 kilometers long, and you're over the rainforest for most of it, which was frankly great. I've never been above a rainforest with the ability to look down before, and so that was really neat. Didn't really see any wildlife other than birds doing that, but really cool, really cool. We went snorkeling just one day. I would have liked to do that another day, actually, had I known how much I was going to enjoy that. Really good snorkeling day out on the Great Barrier Reef, which is unbeknownst to me, although I guess it's not that surprising in retrospect when you think about it a little bit. It's not one reef that stretches for whatever it is, 2,000 kilometers. It's a series of reefs, some small, some large, but they do in effect form a chain of reefs that is, 2,000 kilometers or whatever the number is, all over the all up and down the east coast of Australia. Astonishing. The snorkeling was wonderful. The excursion we were on was really good. It was on a catamaran, a fast catamaran, which is Well, it's not a necessity, but it certainly helps because the reef is not just right there. It's like an hour and a half motoring at pretty high speed to get out to the reef. We went to 3 different snorkel spots, all of which were similar but different, a little bit different. Yeah, I think that was my highlight of the trip, actually. Really enjoyed the snorkeling. Lots of fish, lots of coral, lots of sea slugs, which are kind of interesting to look at. They move around slowly. Oh, clams, giant clams. Those are cool. And didn't touch a thing. I don't know if that was a rule, but I took it as a rule. I didn't touch anything. Oh, a shark. A shark swam underneath me. That was pretty cool. Just a reef shark. Nothing to be too concerned about, or at least I wasn't concerned about it. The expeditioneers, what do you call those guys? The outfitters. Anyway, the people running the show, they told us ahead of time, you might see some sharks. They don't really go after people, and don't worry about them. So I took them at their word, and shark didn't even notice me as far as I could tell. I'm sure it noticed me, but just ignored me, carried on its merry way. I got a good look at it. It was right underneath me by probably, I don't know, it's hard to judge, but 2 or 3 meters below me, which was pretty close, but neat, really neat. After that, we flew to Brisbane. The day after we arrived in Brisbane, I was no longer able to walk, so that wasn't great for me. But we were very close to the end of our trip. We only had 2 days to go, so I stayed in a motel room, and my wife went out and about and did a few things. Not lots. She was worried about me. And however, she got bored of me. I think she got bored of being in the motel room, and I was encouraging her to go out. I mean, nothing was gonna happen to me in the motel room, other than struggling to get between the bed and the toilet and the shower and whatever else. The sink for some water, the mini fridge for a bit of food. I watched Australian television. That was mostly sports and daytime talk things, which were not interesting at all. Sorry, Australia. And then we flew home. Had wheelchair transfers all the way home, which for the first time traveling like that, I highly recommend it. Other than the fact that you might need a wheelchair, it certainly makes air travel easier if people are running you around in wheelchairs. Work. I'm not going to say too much about work other than that it's good. It's fine. I don't have anything to complain about. My job is fine. I mostly, I don't know if enjoy is quite the right word, but there are aspects to it that I enjoy quite a bit. There are aspects to it that I don't care for so much, but I don't think that's nothing to do with the type of work that I do, really. It's just administrative things. It's boring and necessary to some extent, although, it would be nice to cut down on some of the, to my mind, unnecessary aspects of the administrative work, but that tends to get piled on by accountants and HR and safety people and all the people that perform necessary functions. But anyway, I could go on about that, but I'm not going to. Yeah, I really don't have anything to complain about work-wise, and I'm thankful that I continue to have a good job. There's nothing guaranteed about that. The economy of Canada and North America has been, well, I shouldn't say that. I think the US has been firing along on all cylinders, even with the inflation and things. There are lots of people struggling. Here in Canada, inflation has been out of control. Interest rates are higher than they've been in my lifetime, and that's hard. It's actually hard on us, but not that hard. Both my wife and I have good jobs, so although it's frustrating, we can afford to live still, which is fantastic, and I'm happy about that, grateful for that. I know there are lots of people that are struggling and don't have those that level of comfort, privilege to some extent. I mean, yes, we've worked hard for our jobs and work hard to keep our jobs, but there's always, it's not all hard work, and there's a certain amount of privilege. And you shouldn't take it for granted. So I try not to. Don't always succeed, I don't think, but I try not to. I do try to remember others and act accordingly in terms of giving, donating, being charitable, I guess. We support our local food bank and some other things. I do tend to support local charities for the most part. I don't know, to me that just makes sense. Everyone's knocking on your door these days, and that gets a bit tiresome, to be honest, but it's hard to blame them, although there are some charities that I could certainly live without. Alrighty, what else do I have to talk about here? Oh, I wanted to talk about some of the YouTubers that I watch and consider to be friends of mine. There are a few. Believe it or not, I don't spend all my time sitting in the basement here, but this is going to make it sound like I do. So, who's up? Del Boy 3K1, I believe is what his channel is. He does a weekly blog. He talks about goings on in the world. He talks about his personal life, his work life, his family. Well, not too much about his family. Him and his mother. He and his mother. He lives with and supports his mother, which is really great. And I commend him for it. You can say, well, what else are you going to do? And that's true. But you know what? There are people that don't, won't, and or don't, or can't, I guess, in some cases. And Del does that. And I know he works hard. I know he's got health challenges. And I relate to him quite a bit. He's a good guy. I've talked to him a little bit outside of YouTube. Just a call on Discord using voice chat or video chat. I think it was a video chat we did most recently, although not for a long time. So Del, we're due for a call. Time zones are a little bit challenging. In weekdays I'm in work and he's, in the evening getting ready to go to bed, probably in the middle of my afternoon. But anyway, his content is entertaining to watch, interesting to watch. He does other things. He's been doing some TV and movie sort of live. I don't know quite what the word is. I haven't been watching his. I think he's been doing some sort of live reaction videos. Now I haven't, to be honest, I haven't watched those. And then he discusses them with a friend of his, which is a little more interesting. Although again, if I haven't watched the show, which I won't have, typically if it's on TV where he is, it's interesting to hear them talk about it a little bit. He does reviews of movies a bit. He talks about his collectibles. He's got some amazing collectibles. He's into comics and movies and music. I think those are his three big areas. And he collects movies, steel books, and 4K Blu-rays, and has done for years and years and years. I'm sure it sounds like he's got movies on VHS, DVD, Laserdisc, can't forget the Laserdisc, and Blu-ray, and now 4K Blu-ray. Del, I don't know what you're going to do when it's 8K movie time. Buy everything again in 8K? I kind of dropped out of that game myself. But if you love it, you love it, and that's great. And he definitely loves it. So Del, cheers, Happy New Year, and all the best for 2024. My next buddy. What to say about my buddy? Steve, of Gaming Since the 70s. He's great. His videos are so fun to watch. He primarily does, or exclusively does, video gameplay videos, much in the way that I play video games, old video games. But he covers many different systems, which I will do gradually over time. I'm very much Atari focused, although I do throw in the occasional other thing. But he comes up with clever ideas for video series, I guess, or video themes maybe is a better way to put that. Most recently, well, he did an advent calendar, which I found very entertaining on the Pico 8, which is a sort of a fantasy video game console. It doesn't, or it didn't ever exist in hardware. It was just a software implementation. I think there might be a hardware implementation of it, but I might be wrong about that. It might just be running in software on some of the handhelds that are available these days, which are pretty capable and interesting. Now, it's not. I don't think it needs a ton of hardware to run it well. It's sort of a fantasy spec with a square aspect ratio. You know, some relatively small number of pixels, square 300 or 200 or something like that square, and the code, the games are all small, you know, 10K, 20K, 30K, meaning kilobytes. Quite small by today's standards, very much in line with things from the 80s in terms of size. Yeah, back to Steve anyway. So his advent calendar was great fun. He's been doing a series of what does he call them? I don't know what he calls them. Wheel spin. So he sets up an online spinner. You can find these things on the web, and so he enters, you know, 50 or 60 games in there for, I think it's mostly been a single platform. You know, it might be the ZX Spectrum or the C64, or most recently the Atari, which I was watching this morning. That's his newest one. And you know, sets it to spin, and it picks a random game from that list, and then he plays it and talks about it, and which is what he does, and it's great fun to watch. So Steve, you've entertained me to no end this year. There was a time, I don't think I told you this, there was a time this year, not a couple of weeks ago, where I was pretty sick, just for like a day and a half, and in the depth of night, Steve, you got me through, buddy. There was I couldn't sleep. I was in pain, and just laying there flopping around, and I was watching gaming since the 70s, mostly listening, but also watching to some extent. And so thanks for that, and thanks for all the entertainment you've given. Happy New Year. All the best to you and your family. I'll hope to talk to you soon. There is Mr. Colin Jones. Now, what's his channel name? Ponder Retro Video Game. This is terrible. I do this all the time to my friends on the web. I can never remember their channel names, unless they're reasonably straightforward. If it's multi-words, I'm done. I'll find it. Just fired up YouTube here. Where is it? Ponder's Retro Goodness. My goodness, you'd think I could remember that. He does a variety of gaming videos. He takes part in a couple of video game challenges. He streams on Twitch. He does cycling videos, which are quite interesting to watch. He's a braver man than I. I do cycle a bit, but I try to stick to not on the roads as much as I can. I'm lucky to have that option. We have a good series of interconnected green spaces and parks and trails and things in my city, so I don't have to do, other than in short stretches, anything in traffic. So he's amazing when it comes to cycling. He has actually, I don't know if it's mounted on his helmet or if it's mounted on his bicycle, but like what do you call those things? Like a GoPro video. What am I looking over here for? A GoPro video thing, and those are interesting to watch, nerve-wracking. Man, there's a lot of drivers that are frankly assholes. I don't really know what to account that to, or what to ascribe that to, other than maybe general human nature. I don't know. People are jerks. I'm not above being a jerk from time to time, but I do try to rein it in most of the time. Anyway, lots of entertainment. He does the occasional blog sort of a thing where he often will rant about something, and usually is, in my opinion, right, correct, and it's a deserved rant. I feel like I'm forgetting something that he does, but although I don't tend to comment a lot on his videos for some reason. I don't really know why. But Colin, I do watch a fair bit, and you provided me with lots of interesting and fun things to look at. So especially your gameplay stuff in the competitions, I typically learn from you when during those competitions. There's one that I also participate in, although I have to say I haven't really been an active participant for the last month or 6 weeks or so. Health challenges, busy time of the year, etc., etc. So that's my excuse. Anyway, Colin, I know you have a nice family that you live with. You have some pets. You have a brilliant looking garden. You're a lucky man. You seem like a good man. Hope to meet you one day. All the best for the coming year, and Happy New Year. And then we're going to come to my last YouTube acknowledgement, I guess, for now. MameMeister, Alan. He's like the OG retro game YouTuber for me anyway. I probably there were others. Almost for sure there were some others, but I don't think I was aware of them. Alan and I go way back to the Yak Yak. It's not a BBS, a forum, I guess. It's like a BBS in a way, but an online forum. I suppose it was a bulletin board. That's what I'm looking for, which is also BBS. It's a bulletin board system, so it's an online version of the online version. BBS is back in the day used to be you would dial into the systems, so you had a dedicated connection. This is going back, let me tell you. It wasn't that long. It wasn't that long ago that Alan and I met, but in the online version of the bulletin boards, there was and is still actually one called Yak Yak, and that's where we met. We used to have a video game competition there. Used to discuss the community. The community there used to discuss all kinds of topics. There used to be big arguments, there used to be small arguments, a lot of which was in fun, some of which was not so much in fun. I don't think I ever got that wrapped up in anything, but there were bannings and very heated discussions over the years. So anyway, when I don't know when, it wasn't right after he started doing it, but I don't think it was that long either. I became aware of his YouTube channel, and I've been watching him for quite a few years. He does a bunch of different video game themed things. He live streams. He has what he calls the Friday Waffle, which is more intermittent now. He's been doing it for so long. He says he's run out of things to talk about, and I believe him. It's a long time, but he still does one once in a while. I used to find it quite interesting to hear. I still do, I guess. I always find it interesting to hear about people's personal lives, which is one of the things that attracts me to Dell's videos as well. But not in tremendous detail. You know, I don't need to know the names or the places that you're talking about necessarily. Well, at all really. Just hearing about people's day-to-day lives, and getting a bit of an insight into what's going on for them, and the challenges they're having, the happinesses, the joys in their lives, all of that kind of stuff. For me, that's the kind of reality TV. It's not TV obviously, but there's a certain kinship there you can't deny. That to me is compelling watching. You kind of get to know someone at arm's length. I've talked to Al occasionally over the years. He interviewed me for his podcast recently, which was great fun. I really enjoyed that. It's available. It's out there. If you can find his podcast, I forget what he calls it now. Anyway, it's available on YouTube, and I think in other pod places. So, Al, all the best to you and your family. and your martial arts community. I wish you well with that. Carry on with that. It's great to be physically active and something you can enjoy like that. And Happy New Year. And I hope 2024 is, what's a good word? A good, not Canadian word. Stonking. Hopefully I'm using that right. Probably not. Anyway, all the best, buddy. Okay, where are we here? Are we coming to the end? God, you would hope so. Someone I was talking to recently, and the idea of I don't know if they knew I had a YouTube channel or not. I can't remember. But sort of the topic of public speaking came up, and this isn't exactly public speaking, but there's a kinship to public speaking, and that's not something that's bothered me for a long time. Probably since I was a late teen, early adult. I kind of got over any concerns I had about talking in front of people. And it hasn't been a problem for me since then, so I can blather on for forever if you let me. I do try to shut up and listen some of the time. My wife would say I never talk. It's not true. But I also prefer not to talk about nothing at all, really. It's not my favorite. I guess small talk. I don't mind small talk if it's going to sort of lead somewhere else. But just kind of day to day, how's the weather? And not that that's, sorry, I shouldn't imply that that's what my wife and I talk about, but when you've been with somebody for a long time, you tend to retread the same topics all the time, and I guess I don't feel a compelling need to do that all of the time, so I think she has a legitimate complaint about my lack of talkativeness. Undoubtedly something I should be working on. Anyway, what about my channel? That's my next topic in this document that's right in front of my face. Let's see here. Okay, some of the things that I thought I was going to do in 2023 have not come to pass. I've had some logistic things that I just haven't solved, equipment related things that I just haven't solved. I've bought some odds and ends to improve things, but you wouldn't really know it from watching my videos, I don't think. I need to improve I would like to improve my lighting a little bit. I have a project in mind that I thought I would be doing in 2023 that I haven't done at all. It's going to require a bit better lighting and a bit better sound. I actually do have a sound system, but of course it doesn't seem to work quite right, or I've not hooked it up or connected it quite right. And I've given up. I haven't given up, but I've let it be. I haven't tried to figure out to resolve the problem. So it's mildly annoying, but instead of fighting with it for days on end, I just go and play some games. I do expect to be able to work through those at some point and carry on with those ideas. And I guess to be fair, I don't know for sure that those ideas that I have are going to work well in practice. I'll find out. You'll probably find out too, unless they're truly dire, in which case they'll never see the light of day. So hopefully we'll see how they go. I'll give them a try. Is that cryptic enough? I don't mean to be super cryptic. It's just project ideas, video ideas that I have that I don't know for sure if they're going to work. So that's it. Stay tuned. I have, with the state of the world today, and by the world I mean, well, you can look at, there's big problems in lots of places in the world. Politics in North America, and I think the UK as well, it's fair to say, has become just a dumpster fire. The US is a big example. I'm not going to go on too much about the US. I don't live in the US. I mean, I have relatives that live in the US and friends, but so I do pay a bit of attention, maybe too much attention to US politics, since there's nothing I can do about it other than, I suppose, talk about it a little bit, but that's not really, doesn't really float my boat. However, Canadian politics, I feel I'm reasonably well qualified to talk about, and I have some firm thoughts about how things should go. And most of them boil down to politicians not being politicians in the sense of what what they are these days. I've thought about talking about that here on this channel. I don't know that it meshes very well with the theme of this channel, and so if I'm gonna do that, I don't know. I mean, if you don't talk about things and discuss things, which is one of the issues we have in North America and in particular, but also in other places, is the polarization, which really is just mostly, in my opinion, politicians and corporations and I guess the one percenters, if you want to use that term, or the wealthy. They tend to like to sow division, and that doesn't help anything other than creating confusion and discontent and fighting amongst people that shouldn't be fighting with each other. You know, you're never going to agree with everybody about everything, and that doesn't mean we shouldn't be able to agree on what constitute major problems in our societies and try to find solutions for them that are workable. And that's what we should be doing, not this TV soundbite bullshit that goes on all the time, and trying to making up shit to be afraid of and worried about and up in arms about consternation. We can't have people going to the bathroom in different bathrooms. For Christ's sake, who cares? You're not watching somebody go to the toilet. It doesn't matter. Just go to the toilet. It's ridiculous. Nothing sexual goes on in the toilet in general terms, unless you're maybe in a nightclub or something, which I have no idea. I'm out of touch, but I wouldn't think there's a lot that goes on there either. I mean, who knows? People's passions get the better of them, but that's not a general thing that goes on in public washrooms. So stop being an stop you people that are worried about it. Stop being an idiot about it, and find something that matters to focus your attention on. And maybe not so much outrage as just attention, and trying to find things that you can do or advocate for that might improve the situation instead of fighting with each other all the time. So I'll hold off on that, other than this little 2 minutes that I've just had. Maybe I'll start another channel. Who knows? That might be my retirement activity. Ooh, okay. So talking about what I've been doing and what I might continue to do. I've been having fun playing some games from my quite large Steam library. I thought I had a pretty big Steam library. Most of the games I've never even touched. I thought I had a large library until I saw the size of Dell's library. That man has a large Steam library. Twice the size of mine, I think, at least. Anyway. So there's hundreds and hundreds of games that I've never played. Why do I have such a large library? Primarily it comes down to things like these bundle outfits. There used to be a bunch of them 10, 20 years ago. Probably not 20 years ago. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there were a bunch of these bundle websites and organizations that put up like ridiculously cheap bundles of games. Probably a lot of them aren't great, but most of those have gone by the wayside. These days, the only one of the OGs, and the only one that I get, well, I'm subscribed to actually, so I get, what is it now? They've dropped the number. I think it's 8 games a month now, some of which are, you know, AAA titles of years gone by, not current AAA titles, but you might be able to tell by watching the games that I play that I don't tend to play too many current games. It's not that they don't interest me, it's just that I've got such a huge backlog, and I just pick things that look like they're going to be interesting to me. So that's where most of my games come from. I don't buy much in the way of bundles. There's another one that is still going called Fanatical. I'm not sure who's behind that one. Might be its own company, I'm not sure. I do occasionally get stuff from them. I have the same problem with books now. Humble Bundle does books as well, as does Fanatical. There used to be other places that did book bundles, so I've got thousands of books that I have bought and not read, which I guess is a good problem to have. I suppose I could stop buying never buy another book for the rest of my life, and I would always have something to read. There's no way I'm getting through my library in my lifetime of either video games or books. What else? Yeah, I'm not buying so much these days unless there's something that I really want to play that's on sale. I haven't bought a brand new AAA title in a long time. The closest I've come, and I'm usually a year or 3 behind the curve in that, is some things on the PlayStation. I just picked up Spider-Man Miles Morales, I think is what it's called. I haven't played it a lot, but a little bit. Spider-Man games I've just enjoyed so much over the years, and this one continues in that mold. It's okay, the company's gone right out of my head again. Anyway, doesn't matter. The company behind the modern Spider-Man games, they do a really good job, and they're tremendous fun to play. For me, I love them. Spider-Man was one of my favorite comic book heroes, and just being able to be Spider-Man is so much fun. Now, Spider-Man 2 is out, and it's a PlayStation 5 exclusive, I believe. At some point, it probably will come to Steam. However, I have a PlayStation 4. I don't have a PlayStation 5. I don't tend to jump on the consoles right away either. I know the PS5 isn't brand new at all anymore. Sorry, I have to clear my throat. Yeah, the PS5 isn't brand new. There probably will be a PS5 Pro at some point in 2024. So I might wait for that. I might not. I don't know. Tend to go on a bit of a whim, especially if there's a price drop. They're still pretty expensive, these consoles, but they push a lot of pixels around, computing power, like really large numbers. Silly specs on these things. I'm sure they're sold at either break even or a loss, but you know, you lose money on every unit, but you make it up in volume. That's why I never went into sales. In their case, they make it up on software. Obviously, they get a cut of everything that's sold on their system. Blah, blah, blah. PS5. Yeah, Spider-Man 2 would be my main reason to buy a PS5, to be honest. Ooh, here's one that I might get started with sooner than later, because every time I think about it, I get kind of like, ooh, I should be playing that. Dwarf Fortress. Fantastic game. I've actually let that sit now for probably 6 months, maybe not quite that long. 5 months. I haven't played it for that long. Heaven knows where my save games are at. I'll have to refresh myself on that. Fortresses tend to fail after a fair while. Sometimes very quickly. I've been playing long enough that usually not that quickly for me. Yeah, I might go back to that sooner than later. We'll see. I do love that game. And my play of that over the many years that I've been playing it, tends to go in waves, you know, where I'll get super absorbed in the game and I'll play for weeks or months, and then I kind of drop it for months, long stretches where I don't play. But such a great game. Minecraft, I don't think I even said anything about Minecraft in my notes here. I will continue to play, no doubt. I'm currently in a not playing Minecraft very much mode. It is what it is. I definitely will continue to play. It's another one of those that I have been playing for so many years, and I always go back to it. So I'll still be playing Minecraft, maybe a bit less, but definitely playing. And Atari. I love my Atari games. I had the 2600, I had a 600 XL, which was one of the 8-bit computers. I have a 130 XE. It's around here somewhere in a box. I should really pull that out and see if it works still. Ooh, I actually have an Atari 400, which I got from a friend of mine's dad. Oh gosh, a number of years ago now. I've never hooked it up to anything. He had a bunch of books and manuals and things which I have read through and browsed, but I've never hooked the 400 up to see if it still works. So I have that, which is cool. I was looking, I've made more than 450 Atari 8-bit videos, which seems like a high number until you look at the size of the library. there are thousands of games, so I won't be done anytime soon with the Atari 8-bit videos. Now, I don't know that there are thousands of games that are deserving of being played and having videos made of them, but I can't imagine I'm going to run out anytime real soon. The other one that I'm doing semi-regularly at this point, not that often right now for some reason, is the Atari VCS, the Atari 2600 as I knew it in the day. I'm up over 70-ish of those videos. There are hundreds of those titles. There are tons of duplicates in that library, you know, different games released in different territories or with slightly different names, or in different territories with different names. So I don't feel the need to play the variants at all unless I know or have heard that there's something unique about them. But usually they're just the same game with another label slapped on them. So I will continue with those, and I'll continue to do the occasional video from other old computers, old consoles. I've got my Mister there. No plans to get rid of that anytime soon. Mister FPGA, in case you're wondering. I won't talk too much about what that is, but it's an amazing thing. Super useful and fun. Well, I don't know how useful it is, but it's fun. It's not... I shouldn't say that. To my friend, who's probably not watching this, that works for Intel, they are useful. They're tremendously useful. They're amazing FPGA systems. I've just never done anything useful with mine other than play games on it. I had a I think a Super Nintendo somewhere. I have an Atari Jaguar as well, in real life. Actually, the Jag is not on the Mister, which is interesting. I feel like it, well, maybe not. Maybe it's not capable of running the Jag. That's not something I haven't really thought too hard about. Now, there was an Atari collection by, by Atari, but it was not developed by Atari. It was done by Digital Eclipse. Digital Eclipse. It's a bit of a venerable company at this point as well. I don't know what resemblance they bear to the Digital Eclipse of 20 or 25 years ago, if they go back that far. They definitely go back quite a ways, though. Anyway, that's a great collection. It's on my PlayStation. I didn't buy it on Steam. Maybe I should have, but I bought it on PlayStation, and I would like to play more of that, but they have a Jaguar, obviously, emulation going on there that works really well. They've tuned that up something amazingly, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It is available on Steam. I don't know if you could throw other Jaguar games at it and expect them to run. There might be a way to do that. I don't know. So I would like to do some of that. Of course, I owned an Atari ST, still do, actually. I have my original, plus another one. Anyway, that's something I'm planning to sell. I should really get off my butt and do that. Get a few more bucks for something useful that I use. I mean, I love them. I love them dearly, but they've been sitting in boxes for 20 years, so. What else? Yeah, you know, I've thought about covering the C64 more extensively. I never owned a Commodore 64 or a Commodore anything. I do have one of those Commodore Minis. It's not within arm's reach. It's over there on a shelf. I could walk over there and get it, but there's not really any reason to do that, is there? Other than to hold it up in front of the camera, prove that I have it. So, of course, there's emulation, and of course, there's the Mister. So, anyway, the Commodore 64 game library is enormous, like 3, 4, 5 times the size of the Atari 8-bit computer line. And there were some astonishing games written for that, especially, well, games continue to be made for the Commodore and the Atari and other systems, and that's actually something that I really love about the retro gaming scene, is that people are making truly amazing games for these systems today. I even aspire maybe to try my hand at, you know, like an Atari game, but I haven't put any time into that, so. maybe that's something I'll do. I could do a how I learned to program and fail at it series, or who knows, maybe I'll do a how I learned to program and succeed at it series. Now, I shouldn't say how I learned to program. I have done programming in my life and in my career a little bit. Not much coding in my career, but some in the early days. I did a bit of that. And in school I learned how to do, when I say school, even high school, computer class was mostly about programming. Pascal and BASIC, I think, were the two that I learned in high school. I wish I had a buddy that taught himself 6502 assembler with a book. Learned from a book. And anyway, I wish I had done that back in the 80s. My life would have been quite different if I had, probably. Or maybe not, who knows. And then in university, there were, I don't know how many different programming languages that I learned. Several. I shouldn't make it sound like that's what I did, because that's not what I did in university. But in my courses, there were computing science classes, and C, a little bit of C++, but it was pretty new at that time. And other languages. Fortran, actually. Fortran was one that I programmed in a bit. I'm forgetting. Doesn't matter. Other programming languages. And I've dabbled a little bit over the years, but nothing too spectacular. So I understand the concepts of writing software, or I shouldn't maybe phrase it that way. Software algorithms and, programming structures and things like that. I don't really know any modern programming languages, so I'm not sure how abstract that has become, and how, I hear good things, but I don't really know. I'm running out of things to talk about. As I said, I could continue to blather on, no problem. Commodore 64. Yeah, so I would like to do some more exploring there. That is a tremendous library, and I could sort of do it at random, which I might do, actually. Or I could pick games that I've seen played by people like my man Steve and Alan Maimeister, and others. I do watch some other retro gaming YouTube stuff, just not consistently. And who knows? I could do any of those things or all of them. I would actually like to get into some of the other systems that I never saw in real life. I had friends with Commodore 64s. TRS-80, I had an uncle with one of those and a friend that had one, so I did have some exposure to it back in the day. In my opinion, at the time, it didn't hold a candle to the Atari. I don't think that's entirely true, but never struck me as that impressive. But I think they had plenty of decent games. There were systems like the Amstrad, oh gosh, names are going out of my head. Help me, Steve. Help me, Steve. What 8-bit systems should I play? There are a number of them. Let's just put it that way. So yeah, I'll do that. Some of that, anyway. And I feel like I'm running out of things to talk about. I've run out of notes. I'm scrolling down in my document, and it's just blank pages. I'm looking at, look at my document stats. 525 words. Well, I've definitely said more than 525 words. So I'm going to close my notes. And there's my face. I see my face. Now I don't because I'm looking at the camera. Now I do because I'm looking at the screen. Hopefully I've managed to stay more or less centered in the frame. Let's hope. And if you've gotten this far, tip of the hat to you. You have stamina. Congratulations. I'm going to wrap it up. This is, I'll probably have another video go up, but this is, I think, the last thing I'm likely to record in 2023. I might play another game or two and queue them up for January, who knows. However, it's been an eventful year in the world and in my life, and that's it. One more in the books. So thank you so much for watching. You take good care of yourselves and as best you can, your friends and your family. Maybe not in that order, but maybe in that order. Depends on your family more than anything. Depends on your friends and your family. And but most of all, look after yourselves. That is important. And if you don't look after yourselves, it's tough to look after other people. So spread some joy in the world. Be nice to each other. Look for common ground. And try to solve some real problems instead of getting focused on the nonsense that the politicians and the elites, to use an overused term, and the media seem to want you to focus on. Media being controlled by the corporations and the elites, sadly, for the most part. Not exclusively, but largely. Seek out more than one source of news so you can get some sense of what else is happening in the world other than your chosen filter bubble. Right, I was trying to sign off. Instead, I started blathering again. Now I will sign off. I'll definitely see you soon. Bye.